If you're a business person listening to this presentation, you know that's an incredibly high figure. In 2 years, they've had only one loan default out of 150. One business person commented to me that anything better than 92% is considered a 0% default rate by any bank. That's amazing business. Well, how did they do this? The Canadian Baptists used missional thinking churches and businesses. People who are willing to think outside of the box of traditional missions into community development and business as mission. 3 churches got together and decided they would donate $10,000 a year for a period of 3 years to test and see if this project would work. That's how they came up with the first $30,000. They covered their administration costs of $23,000 a year, again with those 3 churches giving $10,000 a year. The extra $7,000 went back into the investment to make their capital grow larger. And as they have finished in 2 years, they've noticed an extreme effectiveness. Julia's story is simply one of 149 lives that have been transformed by loans averaging $500. Julia no longer lives on the street. With those sewing machines and the products she produces, selling each Wednesday and Saturday at market, she's able to support her family of 2 children, rent her own home, put food on the table, and take care of her children. That's transformational mission. And as those loans are repaid at interest, their capital grows larger. As their capital grows larger, they offset their administration costs and they move from a development project into a fully self-sustaining business as mission model. Well, I've looked at this with envy and thought, why can't we do this with WorldVenture? Currently, God's given us a great project in Project Bless. Our goal is to plant churches on volleyball, soccer, basketball courts, and soon we'll be planting them using theater and music groups as well. We initially invested $2,000. Again, this was all fundraised because it's a development program. Our yearly administration costs run $8,000. Most of that goes into our salaries. Again, you need to pay your staff to do a community development project well. Our volleyball team now is self-sustaining. The students pay a monthly fee, and those fees cover all of their costs as a volleyball team. But I still have $500 a year of supervision and travel to keep the project running. In order to start Bless Soccer and Bless Basketball, we estimate we would need $2,000 each to start both programs. Again, this is a community development model. We are fundraising all of our money, and we are giving it away in time and resources to get these teams going. But what would happen if we did business as mission? We've researched, we've put together a model, we found that if we did Bless Kids Sports, we could actually make a profit. We would need startup money of $13,000 to cover our legal, taxes, to cover 2 part-time salaries for a coordinator and administrator, and to cover the publicity and equipment needed to start the program. Parents love to put kids in sports programs in Bolivia, and they pay about $10 a month. I know that because I'm a parent. Our kids are in swimming lessons, they've been in gymnastics, they've been in other sports programs, and it's a great way to meet other parents. Monthly cost to run a program such as this would be about $1,000 a month. That means that by the time we reach 100 children, each paying $10 a month, our kids' sports program would be self-sustaining. By the time we reach a program of 150 children, it would be gaining 20 to 30% profit. Well, what would we do with this profit? Part of it we'd invest back into the sports program to make it even more stable. All businesses need to invest money in their business to make it a good business. But another part of that profit we would invest into our high school and college sports programs, which don't make any money. They are development programs, working to develop the city sports programs, working to provide discipleship and evangelism and church planting opportunities in a space where the gospel still has yet to be established. Our coaches, guess what? They're volunteers. They're provided by our Bless athletes who are currently college students in our Bless Sports program. Well, how would we do this? Well, following the Canadian Baptist model, we're looking for missional churches and businesses who are partnering with us, who understand what startup and investment costs are, who understand what it means to do business well, and would help us form a 3-legged, sustainable missions model. Doing business as mission with kids' sports would fund our development program doing Bless Sports with college and high school students, and would provide a space for our missionaries gifted in evangelism, discipleship, and church planting to effectively reach these communities in Bolivia with a transformational message of Jesus Christ. What about the carpentry shop? Nate and Cindy have worked hard to establish a carpentry shop. Their goal is to mentor young men from poverty to family providers. On our scale, they're working in community development. They're fundraising everything they need, and they're giving it all away. Their initial investment of $20,000 came from their own pocket. God provided them with a great business in Arizona before they became missionaries in Bolivia. Selling their business and tithing, they were able to establish their business and pay the initial $20,000 to get started and then $10,000 to get it running. Their yearly administration costs run $30,000 a year, and thanks to God, they've been able to provide that money for the last 18 months. Through their time, they've been able to see young men mentored. They've been able to share the gospel of Jesus Christ. They've been able to build bunk beds, cribs, tables, desks, chairs, and give them away to orphanages, schools, and places in need of quality-built furniture. But what would happen if they also built a business? Here's Nate's model. If they were to build a business, they would need to start with more startup money. They would need to take out their legal paperwork to become a business and pay the taxes necessary. They would need to hire an administrator and a sales staff in order to market their products in Bolivia and set up the export systems needed to have products that actually sell in the worldwide market. And then they would need the wood and materials to get it going. Market research and business consulting, this would also be needed, and it can be provided through a business intern program with a transformational venture department. Nate's goal would be to see his carpentry shop running as both a business and a community development project. For instance, in the morning they could work 8 to noon on products that would sell in the Bolivian market or in the worldwide market. Breaking for lunch, in the afternoon they could begin to build the beds, cribs, tables, and chairs that they donate to orphanages and cribs. The products sold as a business would help offset the administrative costs of the products they build and give away as a foundation, as a community development project. And missionaries who have giftings in evangelism and discipleship would be able to work with Nate in his shop, evangelizing and discipling the young men as they grow them from men who live in poverty to men who know how to be family providers. We would have a 3-legged stool that would be extremely stable. How will we do it? Well, I think you've already heard me say it. We're looking for missional churches and businesses, people who would understand that we need initial startup funds, people who would help us by sending college students to be business interns, do the market research, and do the business consulting to help us build these projects well and maintain them. Why do we do this? We don't do this to make a profit. We don't do this just to build business. We do this because we believe the gospel changes lives. And let me conclude with a story about Sarah and Pablito. Because of their story, I've changed their names. Sarah's our women's captain and has been playing volleyball with her sister since they were kids. Well, at least until 4 years ago. When Sarah was in high school, her married coach took advantage of her and started a romantic relationship. And when Sarah told him she was pregnant, he left her. Crushed, confused, and abandoned, Sarah vowed never to set foot on a volleyball court again. When Sarah's sister invited her to church a few years ago, she felt ashamed to be a 17-year-old single mom in a church. She thought about what any 17-year-old girl would think about. Would any of the cute guys talk to me? I'm pregnant. And will God talk to me? I'm pregnant. But Christ met Sarah right where she was at, and she began a relationship with Jesus that would literally change her life. Still in shame, her son remained a close-kept family secret. Only a few of us knew Sarah's story when last year she made the huge decision to walk back onto a volleyball court again wearing the uniform of Team Bless. And gradually she began to open up about her life. The Bless guys treated her with respect. Pablito, her son, began coming to practice, and then to games. The guys carried him around on their shoulders, and he was given his own jersey. And Sarah became the women's captain. I'm proud to say that Sarah is no longer ashamed of her life. In fact, she's proud. She's proud of her life, of Jesus in her heart, and of her son. She has Christ, and she has a family in Christ who are walking this road with her. In 2 years, she'll be graduating from college as a dental assistant, and Pablito is an adorable little 3-year-old with over 24 adopted aunts and uncles on our Team Bless who love him unconditionally and would do anything to protect him. I've seen it. Jesus Christ changes lives. The gospel changes communities, and Sarah and Pablito are living proof. Will you help us send missionaries, build community development projects, and start businesses that would sustain those community development projects and those missionaries here in Bolivia so that we have a sustainable missions program? Thanks for taking the time to be part of the 5 Cup family. If you'd like to support us, here's our contact info, or you can go to the WorldVenture site at www.worldventure.com, and you can find our projects listed under Project Bless or Dan and Daryl Collins. Thanks very much.